Released in 2023, I picked this up in my patient gaming wishlist spree of 2024. I was immediately enraptured by its mountainous, ruined world and the puzzle platforming climbing gameplay. I've only now just finished this in 2025, and I loved almost every second of it. So, have you heard about Jusant? Published and developed by French indie studio Dontnod, Jusant is best described as a puzzle platformer with some narrative and light exploration bits thrown in. There are two tracks of the game, the first being where you control the nameless climber ascending this mountain and undertaking the platforming sequences. The second is exploring the lore and ruins of the people that dwelt in this mountainside civilization. These moments of exploration are mostly through reading letters and navigating the ruins of the society that once lived there. But there are also these small seashell listening moments, letting you hear the past, like a shell that lets you listen to an ocean. And that theme of water, the past, going out with the tide, the sound is pretty much dripping throughout Jusant. Even its title is a French word for low tide, and that becomes apparent in the first 30 seconds of the game. There's no water anymore, it's all gone out. I won't say any more about the narrative or why the climber is climbing and what happened and the recent past, but I really enjoyed all of it. I'm usually not one for reading lore in video games, but in Jusant, with its combination of the presentation of the world, these little moments of exploration, the long, physically challenging climbing sequences, and then all of this being broken up by small little letters that are vignettes of the world and the past, I really found that the pacing of all this game worked, and exploring and reading the letters added to it. Regarding performance, I played this on a pretty beefy PC and didn't run into any major performance issues or hiccups. I got the occasional stutter in cutscenes, but I think that was due to my game capture more than anything else. What happened more often were brief snags on geometry, where I just had to kind of sit there for a moment before my climbing dude eventually slid down off a rock or something. Nothing intrusive, but occasionally noticeable. The presentation of Jusant is something I completely jive with. The art style, cinematography, and cutscenes, and the score and sound design all resonated with me. I thought that there was a great balance of color and minimalism mixed in with these epic landscapes and shots of the mountains and the surrounds. There was also one particular scene in the spelunking chapter that was just breathtaking. The soundtrack by Guilleame Ferran is definitely one I'm going to come back to. One of my favorite musical bits was the organ in Reservoir. Take a listen. Also, some of the vistas and landscapes, I just had to stop and stare. I appreciated the architecture of the society that came before. It sparked my curiosity and to me just had this little sprinkle of that Jean Giraud's quality, even if the art style wasn't quite the same. I think it's just the idea of wooden windmills and sails on the side of a mountain. Lastly, I do want to talk about the core conceit of this game, climbing. I'm incredibly biased in this gameplay design because I was that kid that loved figuring out how to climb minarets in Assassin's Creed 1, and Jusant is basically that over a 5-hour experience, which I absolutely loved. There's a great video by Game Maker's Toolkit that goes into more detail about the immersiveness of the climbing design and what it now brings and adds to the table. But in short, when playing with a controller, your left and right bumper control each hand of the hero, so to climb up a ladder, you click back and forth, moving each hand up. This puppeteering style to me was really immersive. It worked. It made simple acts of climbing incredibly enjoyable, let alone then throwing into the mix actual puzzles and platforming. When playing Jusant, I did get the feeling of wanting to go rock climbing. of wishing then that I was at all adept to try bouldering and didn't have the coordination and flexibility of Randall from Recess.
Just keep it coming, ladies. Whoa!
But conversely, my only real critique of Jusant is also in its gameplay design. I'm not going to show it, but I thought that the game saved some of its best gameplay for last. This on paper sounds fine, but it made me wish some of the final complexity was sprinkled more throughout the entire experience. Also, I thought one chapter overstayed its welcome, and new gameplay mechanics wore off quickly. In another chapter, I thought the mechanic was more of a gimmick than anything else. Jusant is at its best when you're climbing, swinging, diving, wall running, and managing your stamina for a successful climb. It needed more space for this, I think, and I get the impression there was a fear this wasn't enough, so we get introduced to new mechanics pretty consistently, almost unnecessarily. All of this didn't detract from the fun and joy I had, but it did make me wish things were slightly different, and it made me want more. So that's my Have You Heard About review of Jusant. I don't do tons of reviews at Questmarker because I only tried to shine light on games that I really enjoy and that aren't the most popular. With less than 5,000 reviews on Steam, it's a shame this game didn't reach the commercial success it deserves. Retailing for $32.50 Canadian, it's priced with its peers, and if you love games like Shadow of the Colossus, Abzu, The Pathless, Sable, Journey, Gris, A Short Hike, then this is going to be well worth the price. And if you're still watching, I do want to add a little extra analysis to this review because of how Jusant is situated in this ongoing genre of narrative, atmospheric, short puzzle platforming adventures. Some might say that this game is just the latest puzzle platformer that tries to pull on your heartstrings in a ruined world, that there's an emotional gimmick, that the puzzle and the platform are minimalist to the point where it seems more like a facade. I think that's a bleak and negative perspective. Rather, I think Jusant adds to this genre of some of gaming's most prestigious titles. It adds something more to the mix with its immersive climbing mechanics and its novel setting and world design. Its message, too, is something different. Perhaps it's beneath a few more layers than some of its peers, but this is a game about drastic change in environment and climate, and how one seeks to notably not restore the past. Adding stones to the cairns was something I interpreted as honoring the dead. That what you're traveling through is as much a graveyard as it is a ruin. So rather than be the quintessential restorer, your climbing hero is seeking instead to rejuvenate the present. I liked that. I liked Jusant. And let me know in the comments if you liked it too, or at least intend to give it a try.